Hey, did we go live?
Hey, Bob. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think we went live. I'm playing around with some new tech, and I wasn't supposed to go live yet because the countdown wasn't done. But hey, James Jensen, we're live.
What's happening?
No, we're not live? I think we're live. Yeah, I think we're live. Kylie was saying maybe not, but
Are we
we're
live
live.
or not
James, how you
live?
doing? Cold open, like Saturday Night Live.
I love it.
So, yeah,
How's
hey, thanks
things?
for joining, man. It's really super exciting to have you here. I am like fucking stalking everything that you're doing and watching all your shit, and I'm just like I'm here in lockdown in Australia, borders still closed, and I'm kind of mostly okay with it. And I feel like the two things I'm not okay with is I just found out my son's gonna get married in September, and I can't be there, and I can't go do your freaking jump thing. So that's like the level of FOMO I'm having watching. So exciting.
Yeah, that's too bad. My son's getting married in October, my middle son. So yeah, I'm sharing your pain.
Yeah, you're gonna go though, right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely going.
All right. So dude, let's yeah, we're just gonna kill some time because I said we're gonna start in 2 minutes and want to be respectful for anybody jumping in. And I do need to post. I want to post a link to the Facebook group because I've got this private Facebook group and comments come through anonymously if people don't click on a certain link. And
Okay.
and so give me a sec because so we're live now streaming to YouTube, to two Facebook pages, to Twitch, and to LinkedIn Live.
Nice. To everybody.
So we want people to be able to see this wherever they want to see it. And I have this little teeny laptop screen that I'm trying to do 52 windows on. which is yeah, first world
Where
problem.
did the comments come in on the right side of here? They come in through all the channels, or
Yeah,
does people
they
have to
come in
use
through
this
all the
system?
channels, and then I can click on them, and they'll come up there, and they'll come up on screen. And so
Nice. I love it.
yeah, so it's cool. So let me, but I need to, let's see, going live to face eCam permission link. So there's two. There's an eCam permission link. Hey, Kylie, can you go into the Trello board and the Being Virtual board, and under resources at the bottom left, there's a card that says going live to Facebook. There's a Restream link and an eCam link. Can you post those to the Facebook group and ask people to click those links and register? Yeah, cool, thanks. There we go. And now, that's why it's good to have a producer. That's one of the 50 million reasons. So, dude, we're live. It's 6 a.m. here. It's 1 p.m. You're in Utah, right? 2 p.m.?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So,
Utah, 2 o'clock.
yeah. So where do we start? I want to start with. I know you've been thinking about this for a long time. Like, let's go back to the genesis of this. Where did this idea come from?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it was it was basically a family vacation that I was hanging out with Marshall Miller. He's a really good friend of mine. He's done over 10,000 jumps, like real jumps. He's still alive. The guy is a legend in the industry when it comes to wingsuit base jumping. He's one of the guys where a lot of the other wingsuit guys are up a little higher, and he's the one down in the gap. There's a few guys that are doing that are special people. But it
And when you
started
say
kind of.
higher and down in the gap, you mean altitude above ground,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
There's
Proximity
like
to
a
the gap.
safe distance, and then there's the guys that watch the guys that are doing the thing. And Marshall's one of them, and Marshall's he's pretty amazing individual. He's got a good mind on his shoulders, and he's been able to sample something that I mean, and I know that a small majority of people in the world have been able to sample. You sample it in different things. We'll get to that. But it came from a family camping trip where we were with him. I was sharing videos of what the void was on. We had a projector, and I was showing him all the cool things that we were doing with the void, and then he came out and like kind of one upped my videos with him jumping these crazy locations in like Sweden. He's like, yeah, check out my cool wingsuit videos. And at that point it was just like, oh man, I wish I could do that. Like that would be amazing experience to be able to jump in wingsuit and know what that feels like. And I was just like, I'm never gonna feel that. Like I have 5 kids. It's not possible for me to do that in reality unless I completely diverted my life and was okay with dying, which I'm not okay with. And so it was this kind of one up thing that we were doing with videos, and that one up thing turned into a conversation about, hey, maybe we could actually pull off a hyper reality type of experience for wingsuit and base jumping. There's a lot of pieces that match up, and inside of a simulation, there's natural pressure that's on your chest from a wingsuit when you're flying. All you need is wind, and we could do the suspension and wind system, and it turned into sketches, and the sketches turned into 3D drawings, and then we worked out all the business mechanics, and now we're here.
Yeah, wow.
That was in probably late 2016, early 2017 when we started concepting the idea for Jump.
And that was while you were at the Void, right?
It was while I was at the Void, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And so
I actually wanted the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say I actually wanted the flying experience to be part of the Void's portfolio. We were doing walking experiences, and the natural progression just seemed to be flying. And I always had this thing like I had to learn how to walk before I could fly going on in my head. And but it didn't kind of turn out that way. Like the Void kind of got on rails at what it wanted to do with the investment that it had received, and it made sense, right? Like they were just into scaling out that part of the business, and the R&D side of all of that kind of washed out over time. But I separated from the Void. I made sure that I carved out all the necessary things I needed to do and to make sure this was non-competitive, and that, all the IP and everything that I put towards this were my concepts, my ideas. And so we made sure we did all that.
Yeah. And I think I could totally see where, even if even if there was love for the idea, like such a radical change on, and we'll talk a little bit about, I want to talk a little bit about the business model, right? The price points and repeat play, and we'll, hopefully we're going to see, you sent me some videos overnight, which I'm really happy to share. These videos have never been shared anywhere online. And so I'm really excited to share some of these. And so you had this concept, does it make sense to kind of show I've got the Jump Squad video from your YouTube page. Does it make sense to kind of show that as a little bit of an introduction to what we're doing now, or?
Yeah, let's do it. That would be great.
All right, cool. This is the Jump Squad video.
It's been proven that the majority of people in the world have had a dream of flying. Join the Jump Squad and experience something that you've always dreamt of. Our one-to-one wingsuit simulation enables you to jump and enjoy this feeling of human flight without any of the physical risks. For a limited time, our passes to make the jump are available for pre-sale. This gives you exclusive access to be one of the first to experience something that you've always dreamt of. Join the Jump Squad now and make the jump today.
Dude, that's crazy. And so you've announced, and we're going to get into, so you've announced some of the locations, like 2 locations now, right? There's one in your hometown of Salt Lake City, which looks like a standalone. Talk about that one.
Yeah, Salt Lake City is going to be more of a corporate office. It'll be a place where we're hosting partners and relationships. It's also where we'll be testing out the first versions of all of the jump locations and kind of system operations as we look to open our New Jersey location with American Dream. So it's really, we had this in Utah before with the VOID, where we were iterating on the customer experience, and we learned a lot in the early days with that. But I want to keep that going. So Utah is more of like, hey, the corporate office is on this side, and there's a public version of it on this side where the developers can easily go in, program a few things, and then go into the jump bays and test stuff during the day. And then we'll open up to the public in the evenings for 4 to 5 hours during the week, and then on the weekends completely open, and have the public come through and experience the first versions of this. But we will have, we're going to have unique content in Utah. It will be where we're releasing betas of the different jumps that we're doing and the new data sets that are coming in. So it'll be a special place for Utah. It's not necessarily our main flagship location where we're looking to show an amazing business model there for the throughput and all of that, because we'll only have 2 bays there, which will allow 2 people to jump at the same time. But it gives us enough tools to be able to scale that in any of our other locations. So whether it's 2 bays or 10 bays, it'll be same kind of mechanics, and we just scale the hardware and software for that.
Yeah, and it's so important to start in operations and be really close to the consumer experience, because one of the things I've heard a lot of comments from employees, first line employees of the VOID, was that there was a real disconnect between management and operations, and that can manifest in cultural issues that are really hard to overcome. And one of the things I think Zero Latency did really well, whether it was intentional or not, was they started operating their own place for 6 months or a year before they did a second location, and the founder of the companies were in the same building, like right there. And every Monday they'd have a meeting with the operations group and the technology group, and they would just talk about what were the problems, how can we solve them for you, and so I think it's really smart to have that right at your corporate office where you can be hands-on all the time.
Yep, absolutely. It's something. There's a different mechanic when you can tell the engineers that just built something. They're like, hey, I know you just built this thing. We've been testing it all day. We have the public coming in a couple of hours. Like, go out in the lobby and just watch what's happening. Like, watch the expressions on their face, watch, where they're getting hung up on things. And then we can iterate on that, the next day or that week, and make notes on how we need to change that. One of the things that I noticed the most when when we built the Void is if you build any shortcuts or any duct tape solutions and those go out into the field, it's very hard to retract those. Also, terminology is very hard to retract. So as soon as you start calling a thing, like you need to continue to call it that. And it's once you have 4 or 5 locations, you try to go back and change that thing. That's very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. So Matt Wells coming to us from Wales. Matt's a former paratrooper. And he's doing a skydiving simulator that he's building, bringing out later this year. So good to see you, Matt. Thanks for dropping in and saying hi. So you talk about, one of the things you mentioned was, this way we can test different jump sites. And some people might have heard that as, physical location. So Mark Hornblad is asking, is this going to be available at other locations? There's 2 definitions of site that you're using, right? There's the physical site of the retail location, which you've announced 2, one at American Dream. By the way, I was in American Dream a few years ago during the construction phase, and it is mind blowing. It's like Mall of America on steroids. Why would you want to put Mall of America on steroids? But so
yeah, it's definitely next level
on landing that site. And the family that runs that, and it's 555 Realty really does amazing work. They do West Edmonton Mall too. So every 20 or 30 years they blow the doors off of a new mega mall.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, their family is incredible. Just everybody that's involved with that project. What I love about them is they aren't afraid to take risks and lead the industry towards what it needs to be. The American Dream Mall, I think it's unfortunate they actually call it a mall because it's not a mall at all. It's like we have all these amazing entertainment things, and and there's some shops over there if you want to do some shopping, but it's mostly about entertainment and bringing families together and having an awesome experience together. And they're the ones that I've seen in the market that have embraced that the most, like really provided the solution. Where other mall operators are like, yeah, let's put like a little kiddie park thing out there with a snow cone and we'll call it good. These guys went all in and like, no, it's all about entertainment and this is what the new generation wants. And then they built something amazing out there. So I think it does them a little bit of disservice that they're calling it a mall, but I think they'll push past that once people start experiencing it.
Yeah. And so you've got 2 sites now, physical sites that you've announced. And what's the strategy for expansion? Do you, I know, like, I know you've got one. Is it something you can talk about yet?
Yeah, I absolutely could talk about that. So the terminology that we're going to land on, I think we're still working out the location because location can mean several things. And so we're going to call our physical locations jump hangars. So you'll be selecting your hangar that you go to, whether it's the Utah hangar or American Dream or wherever else we go. And then the jump exit point, they call them exit points when you're base jumping. So we're trying to figure out the terminology on that, but you have virtual physical locations with exit points. So that is an interesting terminology problem that we have that we're still working through. But once we get it set in stone, like it will be what it is. Yeah. But as far as expansion, our first 2 locations, Jump will definitely give us information to be able to execute American Dream. American Dream will be our first real public opening location. And then we basically have taken everything out of any other previous models that make it hard to scale and made Jump a very replicatable business model where you can scale up the location from how many jump bays that you want and up to what the location looks like and what it requires and what the demographics are. And so we've made it as simple as possible to have these things expand as fast as possible with the best partners. And so we're looking at locations all over in the US and then also, outside of the US internationally. So those are going to be the relationships that come in on that are going to be, folks that have probably multiple locations and they're looking at, hey, let's test it out in this place and it works. Then we'll deploy it to 50 other places.
Yeah. Is it something that you see purely as a standalone business, or do you see it integrating possibly into other businesses like family entertainment centers or skydiving simulators like iFly? Like, how do you see this sitting in the landscape?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a complementary experience to anything else. I mean, those were the ones that did the best for us with Void was, um, the adjacent to the park or in entertainment districts where there's other things for people to do. You want to have a pre-experience and a post-experience. We handle some of that inside of Jump, where you're going through the process, but there's also there's other things when you have people coming to locations where there's multiple entertainment options. They kind of create packages. Like American Dream is the perfect location for us because there's several things for you to do. There's plenty of food there. There's places to stay, and you can make a whole destination about it and have a portion of that be a wingsuit and base jumping, and the rest of it being at a water park and whatever else you want to do there. And those ones they brought in, they were the easiest to market to because people are honestly, they're there ready to pay for entertainment, and coming back from a recession and things like that, that's where everybody's going to flock. And so we're strategically picking those locations first and then kind of branching out from there.
So yes, but it would seem to me that you're going to have a large proportion of pre-booked business, and I'm curious what that was with the Void. Like, you went into high traffic locations at the Void did, and paid the price of the traffic in mall rents, but didn't necessarily get the benefit of it because you were driving your own traffic. People were coming to it as a destination, and I see this as even more of a destination. I can see people traveling hundreds of miles to do this, and so how do you view that, like that pre-book being a destination, but also being within a facility where there's lots of traffic and the economics of pay, because ultimately you're paying for that traffic, I would imagine.
Yeah, you're paying for some of that traffic, and the reservation system that we built and that I've seen in the past that works really well is you're leaving a certain percentage of that open for walk-ups, and then you have a certain percentage that's open for reservations. And so there's a balance there that needs to take place because of what location-based virtual reality is and how to get people through the system in an orderly fashion. It has to be done very systematically. And so the closer you can get to that and being on a schedule, the better the business model is. So I think some of the reservation side of this thing is not avoidable because of those mechanics. But we definitely want to leave a little bit of space, a little bit of room for people to be like, hey, you can stay on standby. Our jump simulations, really the flow of what the system will allow is basically a group of however many bays we have. So in American Dream, it will be 6. So we can put a group of 6 people through every 5 minutes. So
wow,
you really only, if a group is late for 5 minutes, like we can easily put in another group right before them and they can go through the simulation. And so we have the advantage, I guess, with this experience that there's portions of the experience that kind of loop through with that process. So we can put people through quite a bit faster.
So a group through every 5 minutes. So talk a little bit about, it's a good segue to the experience itself. And so set up this next video. So we've got a video of the in-game, kind of the first video of some in-game flying. And so set this video up, talk a little bit about the experience. People show up, what happens, and then we'll show that video, and then we'll show some of the reactions.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. Disclaimer on the video, this is in-game footage from the prototype, which it's a procedurally generated world, and it's not at even the quality or even close to the quality level that we're going to be at for the final, but it is super fun to see. So the customer experience really doesn't start at the front door. The customer experience starts from when you buy your passes. We don't have some of this done right now. So if you're pre-ordering passes, you've been slightly put into the system, but immediately after you buy your passes, you'll get everything out of the way. You'll get the waiver out of the way, all the logistics out of the way, assigning passes out of the way. So then when you come to the experience, you're already ready to go. And then that dovetails right into customization. So you'll be able to say, hey, I want to pick this jump location. Let's just say it's a Grand Canyon. And inside of the Grand Canyon, there's 30 different jump points that you can jump from, or exit points, and you can choose those. We want to extend things to the end user in this customization portion of the customer journey, where you're qualifying for faster wingsuits that have better glide ratios. The beginner wingsuit doesn't allow you to run into anything or get too close to stuff, and you always successfully land. And so there's all those variations because we've created the experience to be one-to-one to professional level wingsuit. Base jumping, there's everything in between beginner level to professional level. And then we can go beyond that. So there's a lot of customization, a lot of persistence with the dynamics of being part of different squads and things like that. There will be absolute, things you can qualify or microtransactions on digital upgrades. So smoke trails and different jump points you can qualify to open up or unlock. Lots of customization side of that. So really your journey is trying to, figure out where you're, and we kind of wanted to parallel this with what happens in reality when these guys go out. They go out, they find that they pick their location, they find their hotel, they figure out what kind of wingsuit they want to wear, they figure out which suits they're bringing and what equipment, and then they take a helicopter ride up to the top, or they hike up to the top and then they jump. And so we're trying to parallel that as much as possible in the digital world. So the customization side of this has a drip feed of videos and tutorials and things that they need to do to prepare to actually wingsuit and base jump at our simulation. And once they get through that and they're on their way out to the experience, they'll go through the front door, go into the lobby. They'll check in. And then we have some opt-in things that they can do in the lobby where they can basically get a photorealistic scan of their head, and that does a whole bunch of things, which allows us to accurately set the IPD in the simulation, so nobody has to hassle with that. Also get us high resolution texture maps and different mechanics to make the 3D sound better for them. So it really personalizes the experience once they get through that. So each of these sections are basically 5-minute increments. They go into a tutorial, which there's an instructor there that basically tells them how they're going to wingsuit jump, which is exactly how it is in reality. You need to step up to the edge, you make sure you get close to the edge and put your foot on the edge and jump off. And then they go through the wingsuit dynamics of that. Once they go through that tutorial, they go into a final prep area where you scan your QR code and that pulls up what your settings are. So it's kind of a last check. It's like, that's what I'm going to look like. This is the jump point that I'm going to be at. This is my team. We're all jumping together. It's kind of a last check there to see if all of your settings are right. And then they confirm that with the attendant. Then you go from there into the suit up. And the suit up is going to be really cool. The suit up is going to feel like it's right out of a sci-fi movie. You walk into this space that has this area where we're cleaning the wingsuits. They go through a cleaning process with electrolyzed water and a fan system that has UV lights. And it will look very futuristic, but everybody gets to put on their wingsuit.
It's the Broadway of hygiene theater.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's very, very much the Broadway of that. There's a lot of things we're doing to mitigate the risk of any kind of spread of any kind of disease, and we're trying to eliminate all of that. But there is a Broadway side of it. I'm absolutely going to throw lasers in there that are shooting all over things. They probably won't do anything, but it'll look cool. And then you put on a real wingsuit and a parachute. And the wingsuits are actually built by Squirrel. So Squirrel builds professional wingsuits. They're at the exact same structure of a real wingsuit with slight modifications because we're not actually doing it for real. Some of the modifications are we add air to the system. A real wingsuit, when you jump, has intakes in it, and it fills the wingsuit naturally, and it expands to create kind of a rigid wing, which is really important to wingsuit jumping. It's also really important when you put a 73-year-old guy through the experience and he can't really hold his arms up. Like, it makes it a lot easier to fly. Once they're all suited up, everybody goes into their jump bays, and there's a little bit of magic that happens in there because people don't get to see what happens for the most part. But it's a room you go into with a helmet, and the room kind of changes a little bit once you have the helmet on, and you kind of magically step up to the edge and you get to jump and fly, and you fly anywhere in the experience. And we'll probably show a clip of this, but we're not to talk too much on the content, but we are building some pieces procedurally, but most of it we're capturing real locations, and you're jumping the actual locations. The dynamics of the simulation aren't a 360 video. This is not 360 video. You can actually pick wherever you want to go. And we use real physics and fluid dynamics. So when you step up to the edge, and jump off, we're using your actual physics in the experience, and then we extend that into the virtual world, and so you just have an extension of those physics. So realistic that I thought that the software was broken, and early on I was doing a whole bunch of jumbles, and I was like, guys, I think the software is broken. I think something's wrong. And Marshall, my buddy, came out. He's like, oh no, he's like, you're jumping off wrong. Like, that's how you die if you wingsuit jump. If you jump off and you land flat, you'll slide backwards. Or if you jump off and you try to turn too soon, you'll slide sideways and you'll go right into the wall. And so I was like, wow, our physics are so on that I had to kind of learn how to wingsuit jump inside of the simulation. So then you do your simulation, you do the experience. Yeah. You do your experience. Sorry, this is probably long-winded, but you get to fly all the way out, pull your parachute, and then we land you back down on the physical ground, and you kind of come out of the simulation back into reality, suit down, and then we direct you into what we call our reflection area that gets your video of the experiences displayed. It's a GoPro style video, and it's going to look so good. People are going to think that you actually went and wingsuit jumped that weekend in the Tenement Mountains in China.
Wow. Yeah, I love the reflection area. It's something I've talked about a lot, is, giving people a place to reflect on the experience. Some of these experiences are really, we talk about transformational, and that term's getting a bit overused, maybe, at least in my circles. But but I love that idea of giving people a place to land. One of the big challenges, we just went and did Far Cry VR in North Melbourne at zero latency, and and that was one of the very first free roam locations, and and it was their headquarters, and it's a warehouse district in the middle of nowhere. But at the end, they literally dump you in a parking lot. Like, you get done with this half-hour free roam where you're inside of this game, and it's amazing. And you come out and you grab your jacket, and thanks a lot, bye. And you're literally in a parking lot in a warehouse district where there's nothing around, and you're looking around, and you're like, and in one way, like, that stark contrast between what you just experienced in that and the cold, harsh reality of the real world is maybe makes the experience even better. Who the hell knows? But I love the concept of having a place where you extend that experience a little bit. And I think it's something that's missing in a lot of location-based VR attractions. So yeah, kudos to you guys.
Absolutely. There's a really cool dynamic if you do that right. And it parallels really well with what happens with real wingsuit and base jumping. These guys all go out with GoPro cameras. And when they're done with the day, they go back to the hotel or at the restaurant, and they all pull out their GoPros and like, hey, this is what I did, and this is what I did, and man, check out this shot that I got. And since our experience is so dynamic, every single person's video will be like that. They'll be different, and they'll say, man, I thought that was so cool that you shot that gap, or you went through this thing and you went underneath that waterfall, and I want to do that next time. And that whole conversation, you need a place for that. And to just kick somebody out the door and not allow them to experience that, and it's a missed opportunity on the business side, because if you can make that really easy for people to participate in, then that turns into almost like an automated marketing machine for you, because people leave with an experience, they leave with a quick video they can post on social media like, hey, I just did this. It's a testimony of how amazing the experience is for them, and they get to share that. And that's something that really passionate about with this project, is enabling everybody to have that moment.
Yeah, I've also got a thesis that that's the best opportunity to sell the next experience, and I'm curious if you guys have thought about that from an operations standpoint, and some sales training of the person that's in the in that reflection area, or a stage where you can actually get them to book, whether you have to discount it or whatever, to book that next jump, because this one clearly has replay not only built into it with the ability to level up and the way you've gamified it, but just that dopamine and adrenaline rush is a recipe for addiction, which is why people do this in the first place, right?
Yeah. Maybe I could talk about the replayability a little bit. I just saw that Kiefer asked if you could see this helmet behind me. So This is a prototype that we're working. It's another prototype of the helmet. I'm probably not going to bring it up close, but what we're doing here is I've seen the replayability side of this be more like if you've ever snow skied or you like snowboarding or anything like that, the jump has really been bringing in the equivalent of what would be a resort that has blue diamonds and black diamonds and triple black diamonds. And the replayability mechanic is the same as snow skiing, where you have your favorite place to go. My favorite place to go in Utah is probably Park City. They have a really cool training park there for snowboarding. And I know exactly the run that I want to go on, and I know the jumps that I want to hit, and I'm hopeful that the terrain is really good like it was before. And so there's that same type of replayability. And so I'm starting to consider, hey, in the future, I think people are going to want to have their own snowboarding equipment, and they're going to buy that, and they're going to want to come to our locations, and they want to do multiple runs, and they're going to want a wingsuit jump or base jump for a couple of hours at different locations on the planet. The cool thing about Jump is we get to have all of the resorts all in one place. So
Yeah.
that's the opportunity. So the replayability side of that's really cool. So we're looking at ways to allow the equipment to be used in the home market or at home consumer level, and then have it being brought to the location to be able to use and be customized and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, you know, I think about surfing and we'll talk about the contest here in a minute, because I just got my notification. I'm in round 2, but we'll talk about that hopefully in a sec. But you know, when I'm surfing, there's this moment of euphoria where you catch a big wave and you ride it all the way in, and oftentimes you can be exhausted because the bigger the wave, the harder the paddle to get out generally. And I can't tell you how many times it's been, all right, this is going to be my last wave, and I ride it in and I'm like, woohoo! And I turn around, I'm just so energized to paddle back out again, which I didn't think I had the energy, but that, you know, that 30 seconds of bliss, of flow re-energizes me. And so, you know, coming out of this thing, I just think you guys have built a money machine, but without necessarily but it's also a good thing. It's like, it's going to give people, you know, this ability to jump. Let's show the jump video. Let's get into it. So this is, and I just want to re-qualify what James said. This is, you know, early footage. You can see some rendering happening in the background. Ultimately, these are going to be, you know, they're capturing them in photogrammetry and they're rendering it in Unreal 5. And it's going to be, my guess is it's going to be super photorealistic. But I really appreciate you sharing this early in-game footage with us. Yeah. And I'll try to keep your
Absolutely.
microphone on. So if you want to talk over this and explain a little bit about what we're seeing, that would be cool.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Jump. My name is Marshall Miller. I'm just checking your gear out here. You're in good hands with me. I've been doing this almost 20 years. Come up here and I can't wait to share this exploit with you. Look at this beautiful place.
That moment's actually really cool when you appear at this point here. The helicopter hits you with a whole bunch of wind, and you almost.
And you have a parachute on. Stand right here next to me. Perfect.
We're also introducing smells throughout this whole process. So you smell a little bit of diesel from the helicopter. You can smell the pine trees when you jump off, and other different kind of dynamic things.
Wow.
Here we go.
Yeah, and you fall straight down. This is probably at the bottom of the fall here. So you actually have to fall and hit terminal velocity in real physics, and we're using real physics in here. So you have to hit enough speed where the wingsuit fills full of air. Once it fills full of air, you feel a little bit of lift. And the way you control the speed of a wingsuit going up and down is by your head motion. So you can actually tilt your head down and you'll go faster, and you'll decrease altitude, but you'll pick up speed, and you can flare out, which is really cool. So you can actually dive, flare out, and get into a different position. You can see Marshall kind of shoot the gap right here. Everybody wants to shoot that gap when they do the experience.
And as a
most people
timer,
don't.
You cannot
the
crash.
first thing that they do when they jump at this is freak out that they're actually flying, and so they just beeline it straight down the middle of this valley. But
is there a way to crash?
Right now, you absolutely crash. In the prototype, we don't have any safety precautions inside there. Safety, it's virtual reality. Like if you die in the Matrix, you don't die in the real world. Right now, you just go through the surface mesh, and it looks like you transition to the upside down.
Yeah, but in the actual experience, you said like in the very first beginner level, you're not going to let people crash. Is there a point at which they graduate to being able to crash?
Yeah, I think that's definitely what we want to do. And people love to, you know, fail. It's part of life is failing and getting better at something. If you're not failing, then how do you know if you're progressing? And so I think that will be something that we handle in the higher end wingsuits. We want people to have a successful run the first time on the experience because it is a little difficult to learn how to fly. Um, a little bit. It's pretty intuitive. You lean left or right, and you lift your back leg or right leg, and you can figure it out pretty quick. One thing to note is we in the experience, if you choose to jump, say at the Tenement Mountains in China, and you pick this point where you want to jump off, we're considering having your first jump not actually start on that point. You start in an airplane that's, I don't know, 10,000 feet above that, and you jump out and you proximity fly next to clouds. So we have a little bit of tutorial that teaches you how to fly left or right and down through the clouds. And when you're all set, you pull your parachute and then you land on the point at the Tenement Mountains, where then you step forward 5 more feet and jump off again. It's something we absolutely can do in our experience, and it's something that even professional wingsuit jumpers and base jumpers want to do. But the process of jumping, repacking your suit, and setting up again, and then jumping again are risky and then also time consuming. So
Yeah.
we get to do that inside of our experience pretty easily.
Yeah, that's amazing. Jan, who's also, I believe, an extreme athlete and possibly even a wingsuit jumper, is asking a question about tracking and hand tracking. And one of the things I know that in VR, like anytime there's hand tracking, people just want to spend like 10 minutes looking at their hands and moving their fingers, because there's this, this thing. And Dreamscape did a really interesting thing where you start out and you put on the headset and there's a mirror of your body and the people next to you. So you see yourself as an avatar in the mirror moving. What are you guys doing anything like that in this? And what's that sense of, obviously what's the sense of presence like beyond just the experience of jumping?
Yeah, the nice thing about what we're doing is you're putting on a full wingsuit, which allows us to put a full 6-point rig on you that's tracking. So we are tracking your wrists and ankles in a back position and your head position. And then we use visuals to be able to map your hands. So you'll have full articulation of your body, which we weren't really able to get there with the Void because it required to put too much technology on the person. With Jump, it's just like you just zip on the suit and you have everything on you. What's great about that is it allows us to create a surface area mesh that we use for the physics. So we can map the exact same type of surface mesh that we do that exists in reality for a wingsuit, and we use that for the physics. So we're absolutely taking into consideration where your arms and hands are, where your feet are. We do that to predict when a person jumps too. There's not an employee in the background. It's like, he's going to jump now. Wait, now, no, he's going to jump now. And then he pushes it. Nobody's doing that. This whole system is watching what the individual does, and then it predicts when they're going to jump. A person makes a very unique curve when they actually jump. You can stand up there and fake it out all day and it won't do it. But what that allows to do is the whole simulator moves ahead of you. And so it's effectively like an eighth of a second into the future, predicting what the individual is doing. And you're the controller. Your body is controlling the experience. The only thing that the attendant does is say, everything looks safe, and they push a button and then it all automatically happens. It's pretty cool to watch. Like I wish maybe we'll pull back the curtain and people can see this thing happen, but it's really cool to see it happening.
Yeah. Cool. Wow. So let's, you've been talking about jump points and stuff. Let's talk about how you're capturing the other definition of sight, right? So, you've got the hangers, which I love that. I love how you're being really consistent with the vernacular through this thing too. And really it's very Disney quality, the way you're approaching this, which, again, many kudos. Let's talk about, so I think I actually have a picture you posted. You posted this picture.
Yes.
It's supposed to be down here. Let's see if I can get you in here. There you are. So you posted this picture on social media recently. Talk about this.
Yeah, these guys are awesome. This is just a foundational team for how we'll be capturing our locations in the future. And this was always part of the plan. Watching, and it was just unbelievable to watch the progression of the Unreal Engine come to a point where we needed all those tools. We're going out, we're capturing very high resolution versions of these environments, and for Jump, we're capturing 20 to 60 square miles of these locations, which has never been done before at this level. And that's a really cool. I appreciate you pulling that up. That's a point cloud data off of the last capture that we did at Notch Peak out in Utah. But we do that with a helicopter, and that rig has 150 megapixel cameras on it, and it's capturing GPS data. And so the helicopter has to fly in a very specific way in order to capture these data sets. But we bring all of that into reality capture, and reality capture is able to create an exact replica of that location at very high pixel density. And then we can make models of that, decimating those models down to something that's acceptable in a game engine now. But more importantly, and the coolest piece of this is going into Unreal Engine 5 and using their technology and allowing us to have billions of polygons and unlimited resource, and unlimited media and data to display these worlds. The stuff that they're doing is so awesome, and the timing is even more unbelievable to me, that all of this is kind of coming to a point where we're going to be able to experience something in Jump that I don't think anybody has ever even imagined would happen at this point. But the cool thing too with Jump is those data sets. Even though Nanite is amazing, the models and data sets would be extremely expensive or large for people to download in the consumer market. Where with Jump, where we control the hardware, we have massive servers, and all of the servers are networked together and all wired, and so and we don't have any limitations on hardware. So other than the limitations that exist on the best hardware on the planet. But we're SLIing video cards together and making it so we can utilize the full data set, which can exist locally, if that makes sense. So, using the best hardware and all of this, you're going to have an experience at Jump that you're going to want to take the helmet back off. You're like, wait, is this? I just put on a real wingsuit and a parachute. Is this? Am I? I think people are going to question reality a lot more once they have an experience here with Jump. But everybody's going to be completely and totally safe. Even if everything completely went wrong, you would probably fall and bruise your knee, maybe.
Yeah, nobody dies. So, and I read
nobody
recently,
dies.
it's like 1 in 500 wingsuit jumps ends in death. I read recently. You're probably closer to those statistics. Is that actually like a thing?
Yeah, it's I've heard it's about 800 to 1,000 people yearly that actually wingsuit and base jump, and it's a fluctuation, right? And most of the deaths come from people being overconfident in their abilities. They've done so many that they decide that they can do something and they don't pull it off, or something, some anomaly happens while they're flying that they're not anticipating, and then you have the rodeo guys that just think that they can go do it, and Marshall doesn't go with those people.
Well, let's look at some of the reactions. You sent me a reaction video too that I wanna share. So check out.
Yeah,
this is the proof, right? This is the proof right here.
Yeah! Whoa! Yes!
Awesome.
You
So
did
ready.
it! You did it!
Thank you.
That was unbelievable.
You gotta do it again.
I want to do it again.
What do you think?
If you want to talk about who some of these people are too.
I gotta go again. I gotta do that again. Oh my god.
Yes! You did it!
Joe,
Oh
right
my
here,
God,
he's from Red Bull. He's been along with the ride with me for a long time.
Dude. You nailed it.
That was the best.
I'm glad you came out here.
So cool.
You made it back.
Oh my gosh, that was so cool.
Yes.
You did it!
It was so smooth, and you're so right at the end when you land, you're just like, whoa, that was real. Like, that was epic. That was great. You guys got something special here.
I could do that all day.
We needed to film that, babe. How about that? Wow. Wow. You had a clip?
I was like, maybe I got a bank.
Oh man.
You did it.
That was awesome.
That was a perfect line.
You just saw like.
Yes. Oh man, it's so fun.
So
That's me coming out the end there. That's probably maybe my 40th time jumping the exact same scene. I've jumped over 50 times in that scene, and it's exactly the same amount of fun every single time. Like it's so cool how dynamic it is. And I know where to get to in the scene. I know what my favorite line is. I know what I like to get close to and what I'm shooting for. And I've gotten really good at it.
and so the people that were just doing those reaction videos, have they all done virtual reality before?
Some of them have, some of them haven't, and some of them are extremely scared of heights. And they had the ability to kind of overcome that fear and jump, which was really cool to watch. Very, very awesome to watch.
How and the reason I ask that is because those reaction videos are some of the, like, similar to when, like, you put VR on somebody for the first time and they're just like, and it can be like, sometimes it could be as simple as a 3D video, like a cat jumping at them or something, right? I mean, so like VR has the impact to blow people's minds the first time they do it. And so I was curious, like, some of those people I felt like they'd probably done VR. Like, these are people that are coming in and doing it, but consistently across the board, every single person's having that mind blown reaction, which is, yeah, fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Joe, that's on there, that's been a part of this project for over 4 years. He saw the Void come along. He also did new media and virtual reality simulations for the Red Bull before he left there, and he was the one that gave me a big hug and said, "You did it," because he knows what the Void was, and he knows what jump is now, and it fulfilled all of those things that he had talked about for so many years to his teams of what we were going to do. And so you have, I mean, this is definitely going to provide the next level for anybody that thinks that they're a professional in virtual reality. This is something that you've never experienced before. This level of detail and a level of realism definitely crosses the line into it. Maybe we should stop calling it virtual reality or hyper reality. Maybe this is just reality. When you think about how your mind interprets the environment, it's very similar.
Yeah, a reality simulator.
Yeah.
So now you're building these jump sites, or these exit points, as you call them. What's left to do? Like, what's the rest of the like to get to launch? So you're pre-selling. Let's start here. You're pre-selling tickets, right? There's a contest, which I just got my notification. I actually submitted a video and entered the contest to get and you're given a trip to New York and a lifetime jump pass or something like that. And so I submitted a video, which I couldn't find. Actually, I was going to play a clip of it during the show, but for people who have taken the jump, talk about the contest and how it fits the brand, and what does that all mean to you? How do you tie that together?
Yeah, we wanted to do the contest for various reasons, but we named the contest about fear and conquering your fears. And that was done very intentionally because there's a facet of what Jump is doing that we're hopeful on, that it will help people or give them the ability to step up to something that looks very scary and looks very life-threatening to them, but be able to reconcile that fear and jump past it, see success, and celebrate. And we can correlate that with a whole bunch of things. And so the competition was, whatever your fears are, like, upload that video. It could be you eating, a pepper, or having a tarantula crawl on your arm, or we wanted to do stuff that was like, what is something that you've already done that is awesome? Like, you don't need to go out and create some kind of GoPro video or anything like that. Like, and we've had a lot of really cool submissions, of people that are that are going out there and doing awesome stuff, and that can be a very transformational experience for people, and they want to, record that moment, remember that it was pivotal in their life, and that they make different decisions now. And I think the jump could represent that for people with this experience.
And you'd mentioned that there were some people in those reaction videos that had fear of heights, and they had to push through that. What's that like, as best you can tell for them, or maybe watching them, and what percentage of people don't actually make the jump, and on the consumer side, what happens if they go through that whole thing and they don't jump? What's the policy?
Yeah, so we've very intentionally built that into our customer journey or our customer experience. And you can say we paralleled it pretty well to like the hero's journey that is done in most films, where you're called to adventure and then you deny it, and then you go back and you reflect, and then you actually go on the adventure, right? And so we're paralleling that. So you can come into the experience and you can completely back out if you want to, but you end up backing out, realizing that this is different than anything else you've ever done. This isn't being on a bungee jumping course or something like that, and the psychologist is standing next to you saying all the fear that's in your head is artificial. It's like, no, I can actually, this is a real bungee jump, and this is like real heights, and the bungee jump could fail, and all these variables, and I don't know if this guy's checked it or not in the past. And what's cool about jump is it's all artificial, and then there's zero risk of any fear that you're actually feeling at that moment is completely artificial, because there's no risk of death. It's all psychological, and you can say that to them with 100% assurity. And so having most people that are scared of heights have gone through jump. We go through this process in the beginning, and they'll usually step up to the edge and say, there's no way I'm doing this. And then they'll take 2 steps back and then remind themselves that it is okay, and that it is completely, it's not real, and that this is their opportunity. And I think that moment when a person discovers that, and whether that's where they back out and go into the lobby and they come back, or if it's just 2 step back and then they do it, that moment of them realizing that, hey, this is my opportunity to jump past something that scares me, and something that's kind of been holding me back potentially. And seeing success kind of overwhelms them, and they need to go do it. Like, I've had people say, I need to get back there and do it because I had my opportunity and I didn't take it, and I need to get back in there. And so we're building that into the customer journey. Yeah. And it's really powerful. We've had a couple of people that have jumped and have flown successfully, pulled their parachute, landed, and they come out of the experience just like crying and shaking, and so excited that they overcame that fear that they had. And it's impacted their lives. I've gotten phone calls and text messages on how it's changed portions of their life.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So a couple of questions came in. because I think they're interesting questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Daniel and somebody else from LinkedIn also posted, like, you're going out and capturing these amazing traditional jump locations. I'm sure you guys have thought about things like the pyramids and places where you can't jump. Even the people who want to can't. Like, you talked about China, and I'm like, what might that be like? Just getting permits to jump out of an airplane in China and land and then jump again. Like forget all the training, like just the politics. So what's your thoughts around that? And even fantasy places like, the Empire State Building or places like that.
Absolutely. We've concepted an idea of where you could jump all the 7 wonders of the world. We're doing real fluid dynamics and physics, but once we have all that done, it's inside of a game engine. It's inside of a world engine, and so we can manipulate the physics if we want to. So we could have you do impossible things, like I had a dream that I jumped off the Niagara Falls and I flew down the river and underneath the bridge. Like, that's not possible, but it's completely possible inside of our simulation. So I think we have a lot of really cool opportunities with that, but we will scan, realistic environments, epic places on the planet, but we plan to use some of those assets to bash new locations or exaggerate locations, add different features to them. The Dude Perfect guys, they contributed a lot, a big round to us on investment. I don't know if you know who Dude Perfect is.
I don't.
Those guys are they're all about trick shots, and they have a cool demographic of people that are trying to do trick shots and do amazing things, and their experiences are about bringing families together. So it was a really good synergy with them. And who says there might be a imagined future where there's a trick shot land and we're flying through all kinds of epic things. But that's the opportunities. We're inside of I like to call them world engines. Like, we should stop calling them game engines, because the pivot that Jump will make in the market, it doesn't feel like a video game. I've even had some of the guys come in and do this experience that build VR, and they were like, I thought it would feel like a video game. It doesn't feel like it feels like life. So I think we're trying to push that direction of maybe VR is for something else than just entertainment and video games. So
what are the economics around doing that? Like helicopters, 150 gigapixel, whatever, like fuck, you guys are like, and then having to render all of that and the computing power. So, what are the economics of this at a high level, and how, and the other question I want to ask, so I'll ask it now, we can maybe transition into it, is what types of partners are you finding, are you looking for, and, and how to, I've got a few people that have private equity money behind them that are in the entertainment industry, are going to watch this. Like, what's the opportunity for somebody to get involved and build one of these things?
That's awesome. All good questions. The experience and going out and capturing these locations, it sounds very expensive, but comparatively to what we were spending on IP content, with what we were doing with The Void and what a lot of other location-based partners are doing with IP content, it's extremely expensive. The storylines, the character development, everything that has to go into that. We were spending millions of dollars for a piece of content at The Void, where a simple, I guess, perspective or quick version of what we're doing with capturing locations. The equipment is expensive, but we captured Notch Peak in a day and a half. And the machines do the majority of the work to create the environment. So we just have machines that are now crunching all of that down to a usable model, and then we just have guys go and clean up the environment, add in speed tree or whatever, and add in our preset everything to those experiences. We can churn out experiences very fast. So we'll be able to churn out, go capture a new location, load it up at corporate, and drop in our jump points and drop in our environment settings, and be able to have new content pretty quickly. And so there's a lot of efficiencies built behind what Jump is on the hardware side, the operations side, and definitely on the content side. On the hardware side, we're not using batteries or backpacks or anything like that. It's pretty much a tethered system connected to standard rack mount machines. But the content side, we're definitely seeing some a better model there, where we're capturing locations and utilizing assets. Those assets can then also be dual purposed for other things, virtual sets that people are doing right now. I mean, we have a really big data set for environments that can be used for inside of other video games or inside of virtual productions. And so we're looking at licensing some of those data sets out to the community and stuff in Unreal for other use. What was the second question?
And then just like from a is it a franchise? Like, what's the business model for somebody to get involved if they want to build their own version of this, or they want to incorporate it into an entertainment center?
So our first few locations are going to be owned and operated by Jump. It's just because we're going through the first part of this and developing the operations. But like I said, this is a very scalable business, and it's pretty turnkey. Once it's done, you'll be able to install these things, and then we'll be distributing new Jump points as we go along. So I think that the transition from owned and operated to a license out to a couple of partners that expand this probably will happen within 3 to 4 years.
Gotcha. And have you selected some partners yet? Are you still, because I imagine you're getting along.
I'm still dating.
My guess is your phone's ringing off the hook. Like, how do I buy one of these things, right?
Yeah.
And basically you're saying
still
no.
dating, trying to find good partners. I think we'll I mean, we'll definitely get there once we open our first couple of locations. We show how they operate, we show how they get into revenue, how the capex gets paid back, all of the dynamics of the business side of it, and then also some long tail items on analytics and machine learning and other business applications that are coming to us right now. So there's a lot of things that we can do outside of the entertainment side of this that go into healthcare, education, physical therapy, and training. So they're coming in, and there's parallel tracks with R&D that allow us to get into some of those business verticals earlier on. So I'm looking at those opportunities also.
Yeah. There's also I'm not sure am I going to publish that. So somebody else just asked about skydiving, and that was one of the questions I had that I forgot to ask. We'll publish this. So is there there's some skydiving simulators out there, right? I did a couple of the early ones, and then recently they put VR goggles on a skydiving simulator, and I know there's been a couple of people who've done it different ways. How do you compare this to skydiving for real, which you can do, right? It's relatively safe. You go up in an airplane, you do a tethered skydive, and often that's going to be somebody's first experience, and then whether they continue on or not, I'm not sure. But how do you see this compared to skydiving and also skydiving simulators?
I've had discussions, I've had experiences with iFly on, their experience and what that's meant for. If you were to really skydive, I would say iFly is the place to go to learn how to control your body in that much wind. But Jump is the first one I think that I've seen where you have the end to end. Most of these flying experiences, you start in the middle of it. Like I didn't make a choice to start flying or jump out of the airplane or do anything like that. I'm just parachuting all of a sudden. And so we're completely, we're completing the whole experience of wherever you are, jumping out of the airplane or wherever it is. It's seamless, and the decision-making point of actually getting into that, I think, is the piece that we're highlighting the most. Hence, the company name is Jump. That's the moment, right? The flying aspect of it is awesome, and it's super cool, and it's really fun. But the decision to jump off and do something that's outside of your comfort zone is even better. Like that's the highlight. That's the peak. That's the moment where everything kind of solidifies and you go into that space where it's a little bit harder when to reach the level of, I guess, flow state that we want to achieve inside of our experience by just being dumped into, hey, and now I'm parachuting. I don't know how I got here, but I'm parachuting. Yeah. So as far as our experience with Jump, and one thing to say about parachuting is, or skydiving is, when you skydive, there's no proximity, and so you don't really feel like you're falling you see the plane disappear, but then after that, it's just a lot of wind and a lot of noise. There's even a lot of noise inside of that airplane, and so we're proximity flying, and the simulation is dynamic enough that you could proximity fly for a little bit and then pull your parachute if you want and paraglide down the rest of the way, or parachute down the rest of the way. The parachute dynamics allow you to have a lot of control up higher elevations, and as you get lower down, less control. So it kind of goes from lots of control to, we're going to land you right on the point and you're going to land perfectly. We kind of take away all the risks. There's a lot of people that get hurt really bad and even die just from the parachute moment and trying to get that under control. Parachuting, when you get yanked up by a parachute, it's pretty vulgar.
Yeah, you'd mentioned somebody in the reaction video, talked about landing and how that landing made it feel real. And you've talked a little bit, you've hinted about the importance of the landing. And I noticed you didn't show it in the in-game video. And so what can you talk about so you've got the jump, which is that first moment of decision, and that's the moment of transformation. How does the landing fit in the experience?
It completes the experience on so many levels. You have a hard time. So the mind, from talking to, some of my other partners and relationships in neuroscience and psychology, your mind continually triangulates space. That's why the Void did really well at the simulation, and why you'll experience less sickness inside of a or a bigger scale, because you're triangulating space naturally with the neurons that are firing in your brain or in your body. So what happens when you have evidence that you're standing on the edge, and you have the wind, and you have the smells, and you have all that, all those neurons are firing, and when you jump off and you start flying, you're flying, but once you land back down at the bottom, your mind immediately goes, you just traveled, however many miles away from that point to this point, and in reality, you traveled 5 feet. Like, you didn't go anywhere, but your mind believes that you went from one location to the next, and it's about providing evidence at every single one of those steps that this is real. Like, you can feel that this is real. You can feel that you're flying, and then you can feel that you're landing, and the smells are different, and the wind is different, and the environment's completely different, and that's what helps you. It mitigates a lot of things. Not only is it amazing an experience for you to triangulate like that, and it matches so well to reality that I believe that you're creating a memory at that point when you touch on all those pieces, but it also allows you to have a level of experience that's just comparable to reality. I don't know how to explain it, but
yeah,
pretty amazing.
Good. So I want to recognize we're 5 minutes over. I just want to check in with you. Can we go another 5 minutes? Because I have one more big question. Are we okay on time?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yep.
So, because I've got the website down there. Check out limitlessflight.com. Follow them on TikTok. Like, they're on all the social channels, posting some really cool stuff. But you can buy tickets now. Like, you're pre-selling tickets a year in advance or something like that. What's that been like? I mean, I've talked to a lot of location-based VR operators around pre-launch sales and how do you build hype and stuff. But I'm not sure I know anybody that's had the guts to sell tickets this far in advance. Talk to me a little bit about that idea, and how is it? Whatever you can share with us about the experience so far.
Yeah, we early on in the Void, we opened up tickets early on, and we had people come in, and we had them build, go into the experience, and it was a reach. I mean, we had people that drove forever across the states to get to the Void to see the prototype version, was duct tape version with a snowboarding helmet, and it was awesome. And the reason why it was awesome, because people that came out, they saw that it was more than just a hype video, that it was actually real, that this thing impacted them, and it was this amazing experience. And we built like a community of people around us that came out early on, that got to have an experience that was even better than what they got in the public market. And so, or when it got released out into the masses, and it was a unique moment. But more importantly, on the marketing side of things, we had a community of people that, when people are like, there's no way they're doing this and it can't be that real, it wasn't Jump that was defending ourselves. We had a whole group of people that are like, oh no, I went there and it was real, and here's my video, and it was awesome. And so I wanted to recreate that again, and have people buy passes. They're at a discount. The discount that's up there, you can do the math on it if you want, but it won't be that price when it's released to the public. And so there are discounted packages, and we're offering other pieces to that. But I really want to do it for that reason, to give people the ability to kind of get in early. And then we're offering things like lifetime passes, which allows you and 3 other people to come at any reserved time once a month for life. So that's really fun. And I think it's about building the community and building a group of people that can kind of help us deliver the message out to the masses that this thing is real and I went and saw it.
Are you getting people to actually, like, have you sold a lifetime pass yet?
Yeah, we have several of them sold, and totally excited about having them come in and supporting them, and they're excited to be a part of it. They're more like founders, or I guess, the major contributor, or a contributor to the success of this thing. And I think they're going to bring in a lot of great people into the project. I don't think it's a loss leader at all. It's done very strategically to, they're going to bring in 3 people who have never done anything like this, and they're going to hopefully convert into lifetime jumpers. But, we'll see how that dynamic works out. But the passes, we haven't sold a ton of them, but what we're asking people to believe is pretty steep. Most people have had a pretty bad experience at home VR. And I know what VR is. And like, well, you put on a cardboard with a Samsung gear. Like, it's not Samsung. that's not VR, and it's definitely not hyper reality like the Void was doing, or what Jump is doing. And so it's a little bit of a struggle to get people to understand what this really is. And so my expectations of selling, thousands of tickets and having everybody believe this wasn't there. Like we absolutely doing this for the other reason of building the community of people to launch this out to the public market. And that'll close once we finish up the contest.
Yeah, amazing. So, and I take it the contest is closed for entries now.
It is closed for entries. We had a whole bunch. We had over 150 videos submitted within the last 24 hours. So it was really cool to see everybody kind of come in and contribute to that. Yeah. And the passes will be up for sale until that competition or the contest is over, and we crown the victor of that. As far as using your passes, we set them for 5 years, the expiration date. You can come anytime in 5 years at any of our locations. But we'll have our locations opening up on both the East Coast and the West Coast within the next 8 to 12 months at the most.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Well, dude, I'm a fan. It's obvious. I think you guys are raising the bar across the whole industry with what you're doing. And I think it's going to send shockwaves through the VR community, the location-based VR market, the location-based entertainment market of what's possible. And I think you guys are... you guys are gonna kill it, and
thanks so much.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you taking the time, Jan. Jan's in a similar business. He works for with Jürgen Schweitzer in Germany, who's a renowned extreme athlete, and they have an amazing center there. If you ever get to, I want to say, is it Kylie? Were you with me at Jürgen Schweitzer? Is it in Munich? I think it's in Munich, and it's they've got a skydiving simulator and a wave pool, and a bitch and scratch restaurant that makes amazing food. It's a conference center. Yeah, it's this amazing place, and I think people are going to be able to build stuff like that around what you're doing. So, congratulations!
Absolutely,
congratulations! Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for doing what you do, man. I'm fascinated, and I can't wait to jump. I can't wait to jump.
I can't wait to see your face when you pull the helmet off. It's going to be the best moment. We got to capture that. If somebody doesn't have a camera rolling when Bob comes out of the jump experience, that would be a huge missed opportunity. So thanks for having me on. It's really fun to share what we're doing, and I hope we make a really big pivot with jump, and we show people some more meaningful experiences. So I think it's gonna be a fun little story and thing to follow along.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you. Thank everybody for watching. Check out limitlessflight.com is the website. If you're seeing this on social media and you're not getting notifications of this, go to bobcooney.com and sign up for my blog, and you'll make sure you get notifications of all this cool shit that we're going to be bringing you. We're ramping up season 2 of the Being Virtual show. And so pleased to have you, James. Really appreciate it. I love everybody, and we'll see you hopefully in the real world soon. Take care.
Yeah. See you soon.